started out, both both my parents were heroin addicts. I was put in foster care right from an infant. Um, I would me and when my sister was born, she was also put into foster care. But I would go back. I would my mom would get me back. She would get me back, and then she would mess up, and CYS would take us from her, and it was like a back and forth thing until I was like 10 years old. No, I was like eight. Actually, I was like 8 or 9, and me and my sister permanently got taken from her. I grew up a lot right here in Upland, where my grandma lived. But I was all over the place being in foster care, like Upper Darby, here, uh, Clifton or Springfield. Yeah, when I was like 8 or 9, me and my sister permanently got taken from my mom, and they put us in a foster home out in Villanova area, and it was crazy because the foster home that we got put into was right up the street from my aunt's house, my mom's sister, and we would visit my aunt a lot. But the foster home that they put us in, like when I tell you that a lot of foster parents are in it for just the money, it's so true. Um, these people were horrible. They were physically abusing me and my sister. Uh, they were having her son beat me up. They would lock my sister in her room and wouldn't let her out for days. If I did something wrong, they would have their son piss in my bed and make me sleep in it. Um, it was a really bad house. They let where my bedroom was down the basement. It's where they let the dog shit at. So there was dog shit all over my bedroom, down in the basement. And my aunt came in one day to come pick us up, and she seen dog shit stuck to the rug under the kitchen table. And she went and said something to the CYS, and she got me and my sister taken out of that house. Um, I went to live with my aunt when I was right after that, but she was just had a baby, and then another. She had 2 kids. She just had a baby, and I was like a bad little kid. I guess just from I don't I guess just from how I was raised. Always going from place to place. I guess I could say like I was abandoned a lot by my parents. Um, I was really close to my dad though, but he was the same as my mom. He was a heroin addict, so I never really got to see him. So I moved to my aunt, and my aunt wouldn't take my little sister. So me and my little sister got split up, and my little sister went and moved to another foster home. And so I lived with my aunt for a little bit, and she couldn't take care of me anymore just because I was bad, like really bad. And So she put me in another foster home, and this foster home was in Springfield. It was an old lady that lived with her husband that had Alzheimer's disease, and her son lived there too, and he was like in his 30s, and he was a strange dude, man. And so I went there and to live there, and I started playing sports. I started playing football when I was little. But when I was like 11 years old, going into 6th grade, I was over my aunt's house. I went to go visit, and my aunt, told me, aunt, your dad's dead. Your dad died. So I didn't really know how to take it. Like I didn't know how to process it at that young. But my dad was murdered over a heroin deal in Kensington. Um, you know, I didn't really know how to take it then. So I mean, I wasn't real upset. I don't know. I guess just didn't know how to process it then. So, I was in this foster home until I was 16 years old. I started smoking weed at like 13 years old. Started drinking beer, just with my friends. And I rebelled a lot against this lady, the foster lady, because she was old and she was set in her old ways. Like not wanting me to go nowhere at all. She always wanted me to stay in the house. Like it was go to sports and come back and not be able to go nowhere, this and that. Never wanted me to have a girlfriend, and I rebelled against her. And I was out all the time, not coming home till late. Just doing everything that a teenager would do. But it was kind of shitty because even before I started rebelling against her, her son, I guess he just didn't like me. And I was getting physically abused by her son there too. All the way up until I was 16 years old. I came in one night and he was waiting for me. I came in late and he was waiting for me. And I walked into the front door and he grabbed me by my shirt and he threw me up against the wall. And I hit him punched him in his throat. And he went down. They called the cops on me. The cops came. I tried to tell the cops. And it was all the years that he was abusing me, I was too scared to say. I don't know why I was so scared to say anything. I was scared. I never said nothing to nobody. And finally, when the cops came that one night, I tried to tell the cops what was going on, and the cops didn't believe me. They denied it. And I got in trouble. I didn't get arrested or anything, but I got in trouble. And so this was when I was 16. I ended up stealing a check from my foster mom and forging it. And me and my buddy cashed the check, and we went and spent it on weed. Well, he went into the bank where she has been going for like 30 years to cash this check, and we automatically got caught. We got caught. I got caught the next day. They came in and they waited till the last period of school at Springfield High, and they came in and they arrested me in school, and they took me to a shelter here in Chester. It was down by like 3rd and Highland. No, I'm sorry. It was down by like 9th and Highland, where I think 2J's. I don't know. 2J's is over there, somewhere around there. Well, they took me to a boys' home, and I ended up getting charged with forgery. And I ended up having to do juvenile probation. Got put on probation, and I was at this boys' home. I told the lady that I wanted to go to my grandmom's because I knew my grandmom lived in Chester, and I was going to go try and find my way to my grandmom's. And she let me leave. I was only 16 years old, so of course I didn't go right to my grandmom's. I went back to Springfield so I could see my girl. I had a girlfriend. So I could see my girlfriend and a couple, like all my friends that I had there. And then I stayed there for a couple of days. I stayed over a friend's house, and then I came back and I showed up to my grandmom's house. And she was in shock. Like, she was in shock that I showed up, but she took me in at 16 years old. I went to Chester High for my second half of 11th grade, and she didn't want me to go to Chester High for my senior year, so she put me in O'Hara for my senior year. So I guess from like 16 to 18 is when I started, experiment with like Percocets, snort coke, Xanax a lot. Xanax my senior year of school. And I graduated from O'Hara, and I started roofing when right after, I guess right after graduating from high school, a couple years after. I went to Delaware County Community College, but I ended up dropping out, and I ended up doing roofing with one of my friends that his dad worked for a roofing company. So I ended up going doing roofing, and I ended up falling off a roof and hurt my back really bad. So I got prescribed the Percocets, and so I got prescribed the Percs, and of course I got hooked on them really bad. I was at my worst point. I was taking like 10, like 10 to 15 tens a day. And, this one day I didn't have no money, and I was sick as shit. I was so sick. And one of my buddy's cousins, he was like, yo, and he's like, I had $5 and he had $5. He's like, dude, we can go down Chester. We can go down some village, and we can get something, and it'll make you feel a lot better. And it's only going to cost $10. And I was like, all right, what are we going to get? He tried to tell me it was Oxycontin crushed up in a bag. Well, we went to some village and got the dope, and I snorted half of the bag, and he snorted the other half, and like instantly fell in love with it. So I got hooked on heroin around like 22 or 23 years old, living at my grandparents' house. And I did it for like 6 to 8 months. I started shooting it too. And also I started smoking crack. I got introduced to smoking crack and shooting coke. So I was doing all three of them things really, really bad. So about like 8 months after, I forgot to add in, like within this time, my mom was clean. She had been clean, but she was on methadone, and I was in her life, and it was crazy because I blamed her for all them years. I blamed her. Like for everything, and when I finally became an addict myself, it made me realize that it wasn't her. It wasn't. And I forgave her for that. And she ended up helping me my first time getting into rehab. She got me into a detox at 8th and Girard, and got me on my first methadone clinic. So I got on methadone when I was like 23. This was like 2007, I guess, around 2007. So I got on methadone, and I went to a 3-month program at 8th and Girard, and I got out and I stayed on methadone, and for a couple years, and I ended up starting to shoot coke again. I was shooting coke because I couldn't do no dope with the methadone. So I ended up going to Kirkbride a couple times, and in like 2009. My grandmom ended up passing away, and it was crazy because me and my sister were supposed to split everything. When my grandma passed away, we were supposed to split everything, like in the will. And my grandpa's daughter, it wasn't his real daughter, but it was his daughter since she was like a day old. He took care of her, and she didn't like me, my sister, or my grandma. She never did, and she ended up talking my step grandpa, into making her power of attorney over the will. And me and my sister didn't get nothing, and they kicked me out to the street. So I was homeless on methadone. I had to set the funeral all up myself and everything for my grandma. She was cremated, and her husband for 25 years didn't even come to the funeral. No, his daughter and her family didn't come to the funeral. My sister, my mom, my stepdad didn't come to the funeral. I was the only one. I had friends that came to the funeral that knew my grandma, over, family. It was ridiculous. But anyway, I was homeless. I ended up staying with people here in Chester, friends that were on the methadone clinic, and I ended up getting in trouble for my first time in 2010. I stole a central air conditioning unit out the front of somebody's yard down Chester, down Feltonville, and we got in the truck, and I guess someone called like right away because we got in the truck and Chester police were behind us like 10 seconds later. So I got sent out to the county. They weren't doing no methadone Suboxone program at this time in 2010, so I had to kick 180 milligrams cold turkey in Delaware County Prison. They gave me 7.5 Vicodin for 3 days, 3 times a day, and that was it. After that, I was done. I was there for 8 months on my first. It was a theft by unlawful taking, misdemeanor 1. I was there for 8 fucking months. Excuse me, sorry, 8 months. It kept getting continued because of my co-defendant wasn't showing up. I guess he got bailed out and he wasn't showing up, so it kept getting continued. Well, in the 8th month, they had switched my judge, saying that my judge before had a conflict of interest with the arresting officer, and they changed my judge. And I'm like, how did you guys not know this for the last 8 months? Like, what's going on? But I ended up getting out, and I got put on for a year probation. I got out, and I went and lived with my mom at York and Aramingo in North Philly. I ended up getting a job at that Dunkin' Donuts right across the street from the Super Wawa on Aramingo. I worked at Dunkin' Donuts, and I got hooked back on subs. I wasn't prescribed. I just got hooked on them again, or hooked on them. And I ended up moving out of my mom's house, coming back here to Chester, down to 3rd and Highland, moved down there, and I ended up getting in with this lady that was cashing fake checks. And, she was cashing them. People were cashing them left and right. And, of course, the first time I try, I went to the check cashing place right here at Woodland Shopping Center. Mm-hmm. And the guy that owns the check cashing place is a cop. Mm-hmm. So I went in there to try to cash the check. And he knew right away. He locked me in the store. I tried to kick the door open to the store, kick the door open. And, of course, the red car, Ridley cops, pull up. And I went to jail for that. I wanted to get back to the county for that in 2012. I got charged with bad checks, another misdemeanor. And I ended up with the 3-month hit that my PO gave me. I ended up doing like a little over a year up the DUI building in the county. I got out. I went and moved with my mom again, and here when I moved my mom, she had relapsed when I was locked up. She relapsed, and she was smoking crack, and her and my stepdad. So I moved into the house with them while they were smoking crack, and she was waiting on a settlement check from Dunkin' Donuts. She fell in front of Dunkin' Donuts. She was waiting on a $23,000 check, which she got like a couple weeks after I had gotten there. Well, of course, I relapsed right away smoking. I ended up starting to talk to this girl that lived in New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico, on Facebook. Well, we were talking for like 6 months. Me, my mom, and my stepdad got kicked out of the house because she didn't pay the rent. We ended up having to go move into a 1-room house. You know how you like rent a room in a house and share the house? Well, we're in there, and we're all getting. I'm sorry. I stopped smoking. They were still smoking, but I was, still taking subs, and I ended up getting on another methadone program at 21st and Washington, and this girl that from Albuquerque, New Mexico. She's like, why don't you come out here? I was like, what? She's like, I want to fly you out here, and you can come here. So I was like, all right, I guess change is always good. So she flew me to New Mexico. And I ended up staying in New Mexico from 2014 till 2017. I was on the run, by the way. So in 2017, me and her got into a big ass fight. She gambled away all the rent money. She was a big gambling problem. And I came back here to Philadelphia in 2017. I turned myself in. The PO let me out in 2 weeks. I couldn't believe it. Let me out after I was only there for 2 weeks. So when I came back, I was homeless when I came back. And of course, I started getting high again right after, because I was on methadone the whole time I was in New Mexico. And when I came back, I didn't get right on the methadone clinic. So I started getting high after I had gotten out of the county for 2 weeks. I started getting high again on dope and taking Xannies. And I ran from my PO again. And I ended up getting caught down Kensington from the Jump Out boys with 2 bags of dope on me. And I had a warrant out Delaware County. So I got arrested from Philly. They ROR'd me, but I had to wait because I had the warrant out of Delaware County. They took me to the county, and I ended up getting charged with the SIP program upstate. So in 2017, I ended up going to Graterford. I ended up going to Graterford. I ended up going to Camp Hill. And when I got to Camp Hill, it was a buddy of mine that I knew, that I grew up with. And he was on the same block, the SIP block. And here he had subs. So, of course, I get into Camp Hill, and he's giving me subs, and I'm taking subs. And like 3 or 4 days go past, and I was taking subs every single day. And in your cell at Camp Hill, they got a speaker that they call into if they need you. And it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. They're like, Verano, you need to go for a urine. I'm like, oh, fuck. Excuse me. I was like, oh. So I go and give the urine, and like a week goes by, and I thought I was good. And of course, after 7 days go by, they call me like right after lunch. They're like, Verano, you got to go to security. I'm like, oh, man. So I go to security. I'm like, oh, yeah, you came up hot for buprenorphine. You got to go to the hole. So I went to the hole. I got my SIP program revoked, and I ended up getting an 18 to 36. So I ended up doing 26 months. I got out in October of 2019. Ended up going to self-help, the DOC building, and I ended up meeting this girl on Plenty of Fish.
Always a good idea.
This girl that I met on Plenty of Fish, she was older. She had 5 kids, all over the age of 20, 5 grandkids. But I don't know why I fell in love with this girl. But she, I also got a good job working at a warehouse in Bensalem. So around the time that COVID had hit, it was in the early 2020. They were kicking everybody out of the halfway house. They were making everybody get home plans. So I got a home plan to this girl's house, and I had just started taking subs again here and there a little bit. I wasn't doing it real bad, but I ended up going to this girl's house for whatever I just said, a home plan, and for like the first year that we were seeing each other, we were both messing around on each other. Like, it was ridiculous. And I went to her house, and I ended up leaving, and I ended up moving back with my mom. And my mom was really, really bad at this time. When I went upstate and came home, she was doing dope again. And not to mention, I didn't mention that my mom also had HIV for almost 20 years. And she was really, really bad. And I moved in with her, and she told me she didn't want me moving in because she didn't want me to start doing dope. She didn't want me to get that urge. And I told her that that wouldn't bother me. I told her it wouldn't bother me. So I moved in with her, and I was working and doing good, and it was Easter Sunday, and I was and I came out, and she didn't tell me that she was in the living room shooting a bag. So I came out and I seen her do it. And I don't know why automatically the urge kicked in. And I was like, Mom, let me get a bag. And she's like, she screamed at me, told me to leave if I ask her again. And like an hour went, I was like, all right, never mind. So I sat down for an hour, went in the bedroom, sat down, watched TV. Hour goes by, she's like, Aunt, come here. I was like, what? She threw me a bag of dope. So it was just right around when fentanyl, the Fetty and the Trank had come out in 2020, like the summer of 2020. It was Easter of 2020. So I had a drawback, like a half a bag and a needle, and I did it. And I sat down next to her, and she said that she looked at me, and I just laid my head back like this. She went to go watch TV, and she looked back over at me, and my whole upper body was blue. Her and my stepdad had to hit me with Narcan 3 times to get me to come out of it. I OD'd, and the OD didn't bother me. I started to use more and more, and then of course, the girl that I met on Plenty of Fish had hit me back up and wanted to hang out with me, and I was over her house, laying in the bed with her, and she seen me nodding, and she's like begging me to go get help. So I ended up going to get help. I ended up going to rehab at Fairmount Charter. I ended up going for a month, and I got out. No, you know what? I'm sorry. I went for a month. I went to. It was great. It was called Ambrosia. I think right now it's called Beacon Points. It's at like Allegheny and Tulip. I went there for a month. I got out, and I went and moved back in with her. And after like a month went by, I started getting high again. And she found out, and she didn't kick me out, but she told me if I didn't go back to treatment, she was going to kick me out. And I ended up leaving anyway. So I ended up leaving and going back with my mom. And I met this other girl on Plenty of Fish. She lived 3 hours away in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. I was going back and forth to her house to come here to get dope, and going back to her house every day with her car. And the one day I came back here, I got my stuff. I was on my way back to her house on the turnpike. I stopped off at one of them little rest stops to do a bag. I went in and did a bag. I got back on the road, and I started to nod really bad. And I was driving on the turnpike. So I tried to slow it up, and I drifted off to the side and started scraping the whole side of the car against the middle median of the turnpike. I noticed that. I got back off it, and I'm looking all over. I'm like, did anybody just see that? And I don't know if anybody's seen it or not, but I started to punch it. So I was trying to hurry up to get to the house so I didn't fall asleep again. Well, here I nodded out again, and I was going like 70, 80 miles an hour. And I woke up as I was crashing through the guardrail on the side of the turnpike. I flipped the car 10 times. I went through the windshield. I fractured 2 vertebrae in my neck. I had to get major surgery. I had glass all in my face and my head. I wouldn't even go to the hospital. I didn't find out that I had 2 fractured vertebrae till a couple weeks later. I went to the hospital, and they told me what had happened. And of course, I'm still getting high. And then here the girl came back in the picture again, and she found out what happened, and she begged me again to go get help. So I did. I ended up going to Fairmount Charter for 5 days detox, and I ended up moving in with her, and everything was great actually for like 3 years. But within this 3 years, I wasn't talking to my mom. I didn't talk to my mom for almost a year because I was trying to stay away from her because she was still using, you know? And I didn't want, I just was trying to stay away from her. And, one night we both just got home from work, and my sister called her phone and said, Mom, tell Anthony that Mommy's not breathing right, that you guys need to come to the house, like, quick. So we hurry up, start going to the house, and she gets another call from my sister, and my girl just starts crying her eyes out. And I already knew what it was. So when I got to the house, I got to the apartment, I went up into the apartment, and there my mom's laying dead between the sofa and the couch. She overdosed. She did 8 bags that they found, and she died of an overdose. I was a complete wreck. I didn't. When I seen her like that, I lost it. I was a complete wreck. But I didn't get high. I didn't get high. I went. So after that, maybe like 2 or 3 months later, my grandpa, her dad, who I was the closest with out of anybody, ends up dying. So I lost her and my grandpa within 3 months. And it was really, really hard, but I didn't get high. And this was, time went by, and me and her weren't doing too good. Like, we weren't doing good. And I just had celebrated my 3-year date on October 17th of 2023. And I relapsed 2 days after. I relapsed smoking. And she ended up finding out and threw me out the house, and I lost everything. I ended up going to getting help at Fairmount again, and I ended up going to a recovery house in South Philly, and it was at 13th and Wolf, which is a block away from Broad and Snyder. And if you know South Philly, Broad and Snyder is not a good place. So, of course, I'm hanging out at Broad and Snyder a lot. And I ended up relapsing and smoking again. This was in 2024. Yeah, like around June of 2024, May or June. So I quit my job that I was just at for almost 5 years. I cashed my 401k in, which was $9,000. And I blew $7,600 in 6 days. It was bad. I ended up going to Keystone Center, getting help going to Keystone Center. The recovery house made me go. And went there for a month. I got out. And I didn't go back to the recovery house. I went back to this girl's house that I had met on Plenty of Fish in North Philly at Jasper and Glenwood. So I went to move with her, thinking everything would be okay. And of course, not even 50 feet away, they sell crack. They sell everything. And I'm walking to the store every day to go get food and this and that. I'm walking right past everything. And what happens? I end up relapsing. So this was in the summer of 2024. I ended up relapsing. She kicked me out. No, you know what? She didn't kick me out of the house. I ended up leaving the house. And I was homeless from the summer of 2024 all the way up until March 23rd of this year. I was homeless all winter. It was really, really bad, and it was brutal down South Philly. I've never in my life ever have I been that bad smoking crack in my entire life. When I can tell you that drug had a hold of me so bad in the last year, never in my life have I been that bad ever. And one night, I was freezing. I was freezing cold, and I asked somebody if they could lend me their phone. I was going to call Keystone Center to see if they had any beds open. And I ended up calling, and they told me to come that night. I didn't end up coming that night. I ended up coming the next night, a Saturday night. And I I came there and went there for 30 days, got accepted here, and here I am.
What are you going to do differently this time?
Not relapse. And one thing I have done this time that I have never done was get a sponsor who I'm talking to every day. I haven't met with him in a couple of weeks just because he's really, really busy at work, but I do talk to him every day. I'm going to a lot more meetings. I have never really done the meeting thing. But I know that if I go back to it, I don't ever want to go through what I went through in the last year. I don't ever want to go through that ever again, man.
God entered the picture now?
Yeah. Never do I want to go through that again. It was bad. It was bad. But I don't want to say that I hope I get it this time. I don't want to say that because every time I say I hope I get it this time, I don't ever get it. All I could do is just pray. And I don't know, but that's all I have. Thank you.
Visit our website, ghproject.org, and you can donate at ghproject.org/donate. Like and follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram. And you can email us at info@ghproject.org. Thanks for watching.